Hello and welcome to The Big Picture. The attempted military coup in Turkey on July 15th, which was foiled, has raised more questions than answers. President Erdogan successfully managed to quell the coup with the help of a large number of people showing extraordinary bravery in taking on the military. In fact, even the opposition parties, who otherwise have hardly any love lost for Erdogan, also supported, albeit indirectly, the Turkish president by dubbing the military attempt as an assault on democracy. However, many questions still remain unanswered. Who are the people behind the coup? Who is this Fethullah Gulen, who Erdogan says is behind the coup? What is this Gulen movement? Has Erdogan managed to retrieve whatever ground he has lost after quelling the coup? What does this coup and its aftermath mean not only to Turkey but also to the region, which is fighting numerous battles, including in Syria, the ISIS, among others? We will discuss all this today with Vivek Katju, former ambassador, Professor A.K. Pasha of the Center for West Asian Studies, JNU, Waiel, Awwad, West Asia Analyst, and Manoj, Joshi, senior journalist and distinguished fellow at the Observer Research Foundation. Welcome to all of you. Mr. Katju, do you think that this coup has been fully quelled?
I think the present attempt has been eliminated. But the contradictions that led to the coup are very much present in Turkish society and Turkish polity. Your comments at the beginning were very apt in the sense that there are numerous questions about the coup itself that remain unanswered. Of course, the Turkish president and the Turkish ruling party have put the blame squarely on the supporters of Fethullah Gulen. And we know for a fact that Gulen supporters are spread all through Turkey, including in the institutions, perhaps including in the armed forces themselves. But the coup attempt itself was terribly amateurish, because no coup attempt can actually succeed unless there is a sufficient weight within the armed forces and a sufficient will within the armed forces to take on popular opposition. Now, that was lacking. So clearly, if you have a split within the army and the armed forces, and that was evident, then the coup attempt itself raises many questions. Of course, that doesn't mean, one last sentence,
Yes.
that doesn't mean that President Erdogan and the supporters of democracy, though they have contradictions among themselves, and major contradictions both on theological as well as secular reasons, did not come out on the streets and showed a certain courage. But the main contradictions continue.
Awwad, why do you think this happened? Why do you think the coup happened? Was it in the making for a long time, or is it something sudden? As Mr. Katju said, it looks so amateurish.
Well, I think it is the power trap, as they call it, which is because of the Erdogan, what he failed to gain in the elections. This has come to him as is a gift from God. So if that is gift from God came to him, that is, we can see from the list of the people he have already listed that democracy in Turkey is really at risk, because he have already started this, gagging the journalists,
But in
the media.
But 2 years back, he won with a major majority.
Well, the majority is winning. It does not give you the terms and conditions that to have the totalitarian regimes. You cannot make reign the power and the constitution's presidency. You make it to yourself. That's what he was trying to get through the election. He failed. This coup attempt, he knew about it. He was informed, he was alerted, he was alarmed, and then you can see most of the people in the street were his supporter, because the Ataturk Kemalist people, or they called them, they were all at home. The opposition also were at home. They were already supporting that there should be no military coup. And it is, look to me, more than a film of a Turkish film, a failed attempt, because of the coup that wasn't, as we can name it. Because the way it went...
Now, are you doubting the coup attempt itself?
Well, I am doubting that this coup attempt carried by low-rank officers, because usually in Turkey's chronology of coups, we know that most of the coups succeed, and they always choose the timing, the correct things, and the chief of the army staffs sit across the table and decide. So this coup was against the army, and was against the political government, with the civilian government, which means that whoever planned this coup wanted Erdogan to win in different way. Suppose Erdogan went out of the picture. Let's say Erdogan was really, the coup was succeeded. What will happen? You will see Erdogan in jail. You will see the Muslim Brotherhood in jail. You will see all the IS finished in Syria support. All the infrastructure will be removed from the border. You will see all the mercenaries running back to their home. Then what happened? The other way, Erdogan, what he has done the opposite. He has putting most of the people inside. Even he had judges whom they have retired and died on the list. He had a prepared list. Till now, till this moment, we are giving you the news with you. There are more than 50,000 people lost their job. There are more than 15 people, academicians have been removed out of their job. So how this coup has happened? Let history tell us.
It's interesting. Professor Pasha, what Waiel Awwad is saying is that, what he is hinting at is that there was some sort of a involvement of the government itself in this. Was it self-made coup?
That is one way of being, looking at the events. But I think there was growing resentment within the army, within the armed forces for quite some time, because Erdogan had made it very clear that the military has to be under the overall control and supervision of the civilians. And the military, having tasted power for quite some time, since 1960, by intervening every 10 years, they didn't like the military being elbowed out from key positions of decision making, including the National Security Council and various forums. Almost 45% of the economy was controlled by the military. Since Erdogan has come to power over the last decade and a little more, the military has been losing its sway over the economy and the benefits. So one factor was this. The second one is, since Turkey is a member of the NATO, they have long-standing relations with the United States. The United States has trained its top generals. Most of the weapons come from the United States, and it's no surprise that there was this advance alert in the United States that things are moving. And we got to know from Saudis, from Qataris, that they had also some role to play. And Putin apparently alerted Erdogan of some very, very sensitive conversation going on between the top echelons and outside elements. So you have internal resentment, outside factor, and also the Kurdish factor also has to be kept in mind in all of this activities.
Okay, we need to go into a very small break now. We'll go into a small break and we'll come back very soon. Please keep watching.
Hello, I am Ishan Russell.
I'm Tracy Shilchi and you're watching News Tonight.
Together with the team of our
Dedicated professionals from across various fields.
This is Shyam Sundar,
Vishal Dahiya,
Akhilesh Suman,
Frank Pereira from Beijing, China.
Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
We bring to you
the news that matters here on Rajya Sabha TV.
Welcome back. We are discussing the coup in Turkey and the aftermath. Manoj, how do you look at this? Is there a foreign factor involved in this, as some people would like to see?
Well, if you have seen the history of recent coups, anything is possible, which means that if you look at the coup in Iran in 1953, which we now know the CIA was involved. Then we look at the coups in Pakistan. Then we look at the coups in Turkey itself. So every country has a kind of a history. But this coup, as has been pointed out by some of my other fellow panelists, the level of it was out of the pattern, in the sense the army high command was obviously not in it. It was by a very strange group of people. To go and occupy those bridges and then do nothing out there, they didn't seem to have any kind of a clue. They seemed to be quite clueless as to what they wanted. No demands were put across. There is a standard pattern. You capture the TV, you capture the president, etc. So what I would go along with the theory that this was an Asian provocateur, meaning they were provoked. Some elements in the Turkish army were provoked into a coup. Now, who provoked them? Is it Gulen or is it Erdogan? My own feeling is that maybe it is the forces with Erdogan, because he tends to be the net gainer from this event.
Okay, that's interesting, Mr. Katju.
Look,
you can call it a conspiracy theory, but this theory is going around.
No, you can have a conspiracy theory, but my own experience has been that for a political leader who is not under such pressure as to lose his job, especially in a situation when he's had to make major concessions to his neighboring states, a step like this is almost wishing for, how should I say, wishing for a miracle. Because the imponderables are so vast.
No, but as Manoj points out, and I'm sure Awwad also will, agree with him. Who is the major beneficiary of this?
No, look, I think an ordinary crime, you look for motives, that who is the beneficiary. But political coups, you do not immediately say that Erdogan is a net gainer. I think he is a net gainer because the forces of democracy, and they have, as I said, contradictions between themselves, among themselves. But they came out. So to imagine that Erdogan was able to provoke people, was able to take such risk as to go...
Provoke people within the army.
That is right. And do it behind the back of the army leadership. Also to have action taken which resulted in fairly substantial casualties.
Yes.
Is asking for too much. I cannot subscribe. For one, I don't subscribe to these conspiracy theories because I don't think that in real life such conspiracy theories are there. Yes, of course, the Iranian coup of 1953, but then is as Manoj says rightly, and there is evidence now that we know that the CIA was behind it. So, as I said, I don't subscribe to the conspiracy theory, but I find a lot of imponderables there.
Okay, what, Professor Pasha, the imponderable. One of the things is about this Fatehullah Gulen. Who is he and how important is this Gulen movement? And could it have provoked this kind of a coup?
He was an ordinary Turkish thinker, writer, intellectual, but he came to be supported by interested external powers.
It is also said that he worked actually along with Erdogan in the past.
Exactly. He was his ally.
Yes.
But he fell out on a number of issues. Then he went in exile to the United States. But he is now virtually seen as an asset of the CIA. He is financed. He has a vast empire, not only in Turkey, but all over the world, including in India. Schools.
Mainly a lot of educational activities.
Educational, that is the cover. That's what they say. They have a lot of NGOs and so on and so forth. But the money, which...
And this has been built up in the last few years, or it has been
last
around
about 10 years or so.
Okay.
I visited some of their offices in Turkey and elsewhere also. But the question mark remains, where is the funding coming from? That's one. The other one is the publicity which he gets, the support, media support from the United States and from the West, because an individual and his organization may not sustain. In fact, he is being projected as something like a Turkish Khomeini, that he can mobilize and bring about justice and so on and so forth, which Turkey needs in the face of authoritarian tendencies from Erdogan and his government. He has been leader of the Justice and Development Party, then Prime Minister, now the new Ataturk presidential ambition, so on and so forth. But basically, what is happening is Erdogan has consolidated his party and his influence over the entire Turkish nation, and whatever opposition was there, he's trying to crush step by step. And he is also, we must remember that Turkey is a member of NATO, and America is important for Turkey, but also they have hidden differences between Erdogan and the United States, although the Americans are allowed to use the Incirlik air base against ISIS. But the Turkish president doesn't want the Americans to support the Syrian Kurds, whom he is fighting along with others.
There are wheels within wheels.
Exactly.
Which is happening, and Awwad, so where does this Gulen movement go from here? Is it being after this failed coup? Is there a problem for that movement?
Well, yes, there is a problem. Of course, we do not believe in the conspiracy theory, but also we do not believe in the coincidence in the Arab world. When Gulen was...
Too many coincidences.
Too many coincidences. I mean, it's difficult to believe in these things, because what happened to Gulen, he was the spiritual guru for Erdogan. And then he shifted to the United States, opened more than 50,000 madrasa in Turkey. He started infiltrating into the academic. In Azerbaijan, he was banned. In Uzbekistan, his school were banned. The guy was flourishing and with the Islamists in Turkey. That's why we should see the changes of secular Turkey. We are happy that the coup failed. That is the general, even the opposition, even the rest of the world. But look at the way it has been taking place. I mean, the countermeasure that has been taken. That is the dangerous to the democracy in Turkey and to the secular in Turkey. So Gulen may be now a tag for Turkish, because the president immediately said they're sympathizer. Of course, he had lots of sympathizers in the army, but even Erdogan tried to approach the army and apologize for them just a few months ago, that for the people trying to spoil the army, and he was not able to take them into the trial, that he, for 2 years back he was taking them. Then he also approached them and he put the helm of power his own men. So there are people within the Turkey who is not happy with Erdogan policy. So by doing so, you have done really jeopardizing democracy in Turkey. That is the point I'm raising. Fethullah Gulen is now an issue with the United States. United States, in fact, if you follow the news, and Cyrillic military base have been the pivotal point for the coup. Because 1,500 American CIA officers are sitting there. There are the NATO forces. The whole coordination of the coup was done from there. There are some reports that...
No, but 1 second, Awwad. There is a certain amount of contradiction in what you are saying.
Okay.
If you are saying that there is an American hand in it, then and also in the beginning you said about the way this could be a creation of Erdogan himself. That this coup could have been. Isn't there a contradiction?
No, my
there?
contradiction is here. He is an Islamist. He is changing the fabric of the society in the country. The danger.
You're talking about Erdogan.
Erdogan. He was a follower of Gulen. Gulen himself he's been provoked the people to go for the coup because they knew he wanted Erdogan to win.
So you're saying that Erdogan and Gulen are actually hand in glove.
They were all together.
And you still think they're
no more. Now he crossed the red line by asking for Gulen with the United States. The United States is not happy with Erdogan. If you catch me next year together, God give us the life, I will show you that Erdogan is no more in a year from now.
Yes, Mr. Katju.
Look, we know that within the Turkish forces, there has been a split. They were pushed by Erdogan and the AKP, and this has been going on for more than 10 years now. And there is a split. And this coup attempt has shown that split. We also know that within Turkish society, there is a split between the secularists and the Islamists. Now, neither of the groups are consolidated or uniform. So that is why I have said that those contradictions have remained. Certainly the army will be on the back foot. My last point. I think Erdogan's first reaction would be to ensure that those elements or reasons which led to this incident or this coup attempt should be crushed. Now he is perhaps going overboard. But yesterday in the demonstration, the opposition and the ruling party were together in support of democracy. So we'll really have to see whether Erdogan now has learned a lesson, whether that he cannot go overboard, that his natural instincts for authoritarianism are curbed, or whether he continues on his. But I think to imagine that he will learn no lessons, that he imagines himself to be some like a modern day Khalifa, is a little, there's a
Going
question
little
mark
overboard.
there.
You think, yes, Professor Pasha, but I need to go to
Yeah, I
Manoj.
just wanted to add 2 points. One is after the Arab Spring, Erdogan thought that the Turkish model of democracy would be acceptable. That has failed virtually. The second one, I think he realized that his zero problem foreign policy advocated by his former Prime Minister was reaching the dead end.
Not working.
And now he has realized that in fact, the Taliban, so-called Taliban effect is reaching Turkey itself in terms of bomb attacks, so on and so forth. Now, that is what he has done, the U-turn, in trying to reconcile with Bashar al-Assad, with Putin after the shooting down of the plane, and also with Iran, which was quite rocky. So with Iraq also. All this are realization by Erdogan that his foreign policy needed some revisit.
Okay, Manoj, where do Americans stand here? This is all very complicated. What Professor Pasha is, was also pointing out. Awwad's point. The thing is that Erdogan is he doing a balancing act? On one side, we're talking of Americans. He has problems with the Americans, but he also has Americans on the right side in certain matters. He is now trying to be friends with the Syrian president also. How is this working? What is going to be the impact on the region?
You can be sure that the United States has extremely deep commitments in that game. After all, as just been pointed out, they've got nuclear weapons stationed at Incirlik. They've got their own CIA personnel. They are deeply involved in Middle Eastern politics there. So the US is very deeply involved indeed. And I don't think that they are going to simply sit back and do nothing on this. My own feeling is that they have understood very clearly that no matter what Erdogan will now say or do, Erdogan has been fairly deeply wounded. In the sense, earlier there used to be, meaning now I'm working with the assumption that this is not an Erdogan plot, but that this was a genuine but
failed,
messed up coup attempt.
Yeah.
So I think, Erdogan used to appear like a strong man. See, after shooting down of the Russian plane and also in dealing with Israel in that whole flotilla incident, but he had to backtrack on both of them. On both of them, he had to reach out to Israel and to President Putin and shift tracks. I think that was definitely a sign that he has some understanding that within Turkey, there are problems. But now with this coup, I think he has found a convenient way. What he will do is he will decapitate the opposition, but he will decapitate this generation of the opposition. Maybe academics, school teachers, middle-class people who are secularists. He will take the opportunity of neutralizing them. But what he has done is he has disturbed the very, very sensitive balance, the balance of Turkish society. And you don't know which way it will go. Meaning, yes, you could have some other person become an even greater Islamist kind of conducting a different kind of a coup against Erdogan. Because once you decide to abandon the democratic path and take on another path, I'm saying you're really walking down the road to perdition. So the issue is our assessment of Erdogan. Meaning, has power gone into his head? Has he really got an agenda that this is the end of democracy in Turkey? He wants to undo Mustafa Kemal's work. Is that what his eventual goal is? If all that is there, then I suspect that he is in deep trouble, and we will see a lot of instability in the coming period. But the basic question you asked me was about the United States.
Right.
You can be sure that the United States is very clear about one thing. When it comes to regional issues like this, the United States is the global hegemon. But the United States believes that shifts of power in a regional context can have an impact on its global hegemony. And so they don't let go. They are not going to let go. They're going to be very much there. They're going to be studying the situation. And I suspect they will, in their own way, be manipulating the situation.
Okay. Awwad, how is all this going to have an impact on fighting the ISIS?
Well, I think it has an impact first in the peace and stability, not only in the Middle East, but also in the whole of the world, because European relation with Turkey now is at jeopardy. The issue, the immigration issues now, it will be catched. The Human Rights Convention is also taking place, which is going to be having some impact. On IS itself, Erdogan has been giving indication, lots of pressure from the Western countries that to close the border, destroy the infrastructure, don't allow the mercenaries to come. But Le Figaro just carried out last week an article was saying 150 to 200 mercenaries still moving into Syria. So I think it is a dangerous trend. There is going to happen lots of changes inside Turkey, and I'm afraid he might be heading for more sectarian wars. And that is not the last coup in Turkey, by the way. This is the fifth, but more to come. When the secular constitution of Turkey is at danger, I think the army will step in and ensure that they have done in the past, they will do it this time.
Pasha, what is going to be the impact on the region? And also especially on Syria and also the fight against ISIS?
I think he has realized that his attempt to overthrow Bashar al-Assad hasn't worked, and it is in his best interest.
Is he revisiting that policy also?
Exactly. That's what he is doing, and he has almost bought peace with Bashar. Number one. Number two, he has also realized that egged on by the EU and the United States, he pursued a very aggressive policy towards Russia. That hasn't worked, and he had to apologize. And then, in fact, Putin was, in fact, his savior in the coup by giving alert advance information. Number three, with other Arab countries, he has realized that there is a limit to his cooperation with Saudi Arabia and the UAE, despite the money and so on and so forth. It will impact his own country. Lastly, I think the series of bomb attacks in Istanbul, Ankara and various other cities has really destabilized the situation. Like what Pakistan faced after the Afghan situation, he realized that sooner than later he must draw a line towards Turkish support to this, otherwise it will engulf Turkey itself because of the Kurdish presence all along the border from Syria, Iraq, Iran, and the contradictions within the American support to the Syrian Kurds, and his realization that he has been waging a war with the PKK, a never-ending war.
Okay. Mr. Katju, very quickly.
Look, he's also...
Will you say that, this coup, this foiled attempt of the coup has strengthened him further?
I think that's an open question. And it's not only the coup. His economy is in deep trouble.
Exactly.
And part of the reason why prior to the coup, he did almost a volte-face with Russia. So
it is because of the failing economy, you think?
I think it's the failing economy, and that it's still early days for us to assess whether he'll be able to navigate his way through. Certainly, he is in trouble.
Okay. I think on that note, we'll end. He's in trouble. It's a very interesting situation, what's happening, very dangerous also. We'll wait and watch. We'll watch what happens there in the coming days and weeks. Thanks to all my guests. Please keep watching. We'll come back with Andrew in the big picture same time.